and Mr. Scott.
Hello.
Back again to talk about some more Disney films. And today we have an underrated classic in Meet the Robinsons that doesn't get enough love. And we also have Chicken Little, which gets the right amount of hate. Maybe it deserves a tiny bit more because of a certain character, a certain cock,
Yep.
if you want to call him that.
Yep. I
Um,
mean, that is what he is.
yeah,
Both in personality and in species.
yeah.
He is a cock.
So
But
we'll be
we'll get
talking
to that.
about that. But yeah, we're gonna for this one. We'll start off with the best and save the worst for last.
Yeah.
In Meet the Robinsons. So if we start off, then um, you got this kid with pretty funky hair, quished up hair, trying to invent something. You're like, oh, okay, this kid, he likes to invent stuff. He has a cheeky interview because he's an orphan, and he basically. Now I blame the adults for this one. So what happens? They're asking him questions, and he's just obsessed with this peanut butter shooter invention. And what happens is he shoots a bit at this bloke, and he's like, because he's allergic, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know." And then both the adults are complaining to the adoption lady,
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, well, think about it. No, we're not having a kid like that. Crazy." And it's like, hold on, why didn't you tell him that you're allergic to peanut butter? Why didn't
I
you just
think they were trying to, but Lewis was a bit too cool, like showing off his invention
No,
to,
but
to like fully get it out, I guess.
yeah, but they should have said, wait. He's allergic. He's allergic. I know that would have ruined the scene and ruined Lewis's
Yeah.
arc because he might have got adopted, so he wouldn't have had to go on the journey he
Yeah.
went on. But still, it just seems a little bit. I don't know. I blame the parents on that one. And Lewis is pretty
To be fair,
gutted.
a part of it could also go to the adoption place because they should know what kind of person Lewis is and try and find a family that will mesh with that.
Oh
Not
yeah,
just keep throwing random families at him to see if one
hmm
takes. Like they
yeah,
should have a general idea what kind of person he is, personality wise, and be able to find a family that can match that.
yeah. That's a fair comment. Um, but yeah, they probably should try and find a family that's more creative or science orientated rather than him having just like regular families that aren't prepared for his, science buff mentality.
Yeah,
Because he really is a science buff. He loves inventing and creating things and all that jazz.
yeah,
Um,
right. Yeah, so a big part of the plot is obviously like Lewis keeps failing adoptions and gets like he goes into the idea that no one really wants him, not even his own mom, because obviously she abandoned him there at the orphanage. Which, to be fair, like Lewis isn't super fair on his mom there with that one because no one. There could be a number of reasons why a person gives up a kid for adoption.
yeah,
I mean, it's not always just we don't want them.
yeah, exactly.
There's always
Because
there's a number of reasons, and they even say no one's really seen his mother, so no one really knows what her reason was.
it's just left up to the fans, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
we don't even really see her face properly. We don't. She doesn't say any words. At the end
yeah,
of the day, she could have been a teenage mom who just couldn't have afforded to look after him. She might have just not been bothered to look after him. She could have just been like an adult person who was just a bit of a jerk and said, "No, I can't be asked." But the way she walked and the way she put him down at the adoption place, I reckon she did love him, to be honest, and she did care.
yeah. I think it was a case of maybe couldn't care for him, why she gave him up.
Yeah, I think she just
Just
didn't have the means. If that's my headcanon. I could be wrong. The writers could have intended something else, but
yeah, I think that's what they were going for. The fact that we never actually see her properly.
yeah,
So I think that's what they're going for. Is like it's up to interpretation what her reason was.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So Lewis gets obsessed with an idea instead of creating an invention that will allow him to see into his memories because he has technically seen his mom's face once when he was a baby, but couldn't recall the memory because, yeah, most people can't recall memories of when they're a baby.
hmm
And he starts like foregoing the like adoption meetups and like taking taking like devices around the orphanage to to build this invention. Also, kind of like abusing the aid of his like roommate, like keeping his roommate up all night and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which that's actually kind of important for later. That's why I need to bring that.
And
That's why I
I
need to
was going to
mention that
say as
part.
well, you kind of get why Lewis is sort of sigmaring over this invention.
Yeah,
Because he's a kid who's failed like over 100 adoption interviews. It's got to be quite annoying and, heartbreaking for these adopted these orphans. Because at the end of the day, granted, well, I believe his mom probably wanted him deep down, wanted to look after him, but didn't have the means to. Lewis doesn't know that. He's never going to know.
yeah,
And he probably thinks, well, I've failed over 100 interviews. Like, no one really wants to
yeah.
have me in the family.
And here's the first case of this movie's message, and that is like Lewis is stuck in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's obsessing over a person he's never really met, technically, and he's convinced if he can like make this invention, see his memories, and see who his mom was, and find her, they could be a family again.
Mm-hmm.
So again, yeah. So he starts building this invention. Um, again, like keeping his like roommate up all night doing it and taking stuff from around the orphanage to build it with. At which point there's which apparently leads up to like a school science fair, which is
Mm-hmm.
where he plans to use the invention to like see his memories.
Yeah.
And around this point, there's another character who's kind of just like lurking around, like another kid who like seems a bit odd, but eh. And there's also some really tall, lanky guy in a bowler hat.
Bowler hat
Like,
guy.
yeah, bowler hat guy. They're both kind of just like lurking around the place for different reasons.
And they both stick out with the way they look and
Yeah,
the way
they
they
both
dress.
stick out quite handedly. Yeah. So eventually, during the thing, Lewis meets the kid who's been lurking around. Is it Wilbert? Just trying to get the name, remember the name
Yeah,
right.
that's him. Yeah, Wilbur.
Wilbert, yeah. Who says he's like a time cop from the future looking for a man in a bowler hat. Lewis obviously figured, he's just a bit weird, just kind of pays it no mind. Plus, Lewis accidentally causes a scene because he thinks he saw the bowler hat guy, but it was actually just a kid carrying like their like solar system like invention.
Yeah.
Like the like a model solar system. He mistook like Saturn, was it, for like the bowler hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. While that scene is playing out, everyone is kind of distracted from that. Bowler hat guy tampers with Lewis's invention, as it is revealed his bowler hat is actually alive in a machine. So it like flies off his head, goes into the invention, like unscrews some stuff, which causes it to not work anymore. Which just causes a whole incident.
Yeah.
Including like when Lewis tries to turn the invention on, it just like causes like the fire sprinklers to go off, and just generally everything goes to shit.
And it's annoying because this is another invention that he's failed, another situation that he's failed, and he just thinks, well, what's the point? But obviously, in real life, he was meant to succeed at this one. In the normal timeline, he was meant to succeed and get adopted by Lucius and who's the other one?
Trying to
The
remember as
lady.
well. Yeah,
Forget their names. Or is it Cornelius? No, Cornelius is. Oh, bloody hell. There's so many bloody characters in this, isn't there?
I think Cornelius is Lewis's like future version. Well, at least that's how they refer to him.
Yeah. Oh, Bud. Bud's the law. Lucille and Bud. That's it. Yeah, and Cornelius is the future version of Lewis. So is that?
Like,
So I've never really understood that. Does he just change his name to Cornelius then instead?
don't know.
I might look that up
Anything
now.
else?
Called Cornelius in the future.
Mm.
It says in the movie, as a gift to match his surname Robinson, they rename him Cornelius Robinson. They also changed their family name to Robinson to match Lewis. The Krunklehorns were so impressed with Lewis's inventions, like the memory scale. Oh, okay. So
Okay.
they do it to match the surname. No,
Ah,
so I don't know. I don't really understand what he's trying to say, but I'll just
same.
I'll send you a screenshot and see if you can decipher it. But yeah, I guess that's a good way to not have the bloke's name as Lewis, because then we know. Oh, okay, that
Yeah,
guy
if
is
we knew that
Lewis.
if we knew that was named Lewis, it would spoil a bit of a twist at the end.
Yeah. Even though
All
the
right,
two twists, while they're very good twists, as a kid they shocked me, but as an adult, I know it's
kind of see
easy in
them coming.
hindsight, but there's a lot of clues. There's a lot of like hints,
Yeah,
to both the twists. For example, bowler hat guy being very sad when Goob tells him that he got beat up for losing the baseball game, and
yeah,
no one wanting to reveal who Wilbur's dad is, and Wilbur saying, "Keep your hat on, so your hair will be a dead giveaway that you're from the past." And it's funny as well. This is one of the better jokes in the film when they say, "Wait, what does your dad look like, Wilbur?" Tom Selleck. It's like, and he's the bloke who voices him. Tom Selleck is
yeah,
the
which
bloke
is
who voices
that's a pretty good
Adult
joke.
Lewis.
Yeah, one thing I will say is like the jokes in this movie are very hit and miss. There's like a couple of good ones, but most of them are just the usual nonsensical humor that are
Yeah,
like they're just trying to be like silly and not make sense for a laugh. But there are
yeah,
like occasional
unfortunately.
good jokes, like the Tom Selleck one, as you say, because it's obviously their voice actor.
Yeah, pretty banterous.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, he doesn't look anything like Tom Selleck, which is pretty funny
yeah,
because he's adult Lewis, and Lewis looks a bit geeky. Not he doesn't look
yeah.
like Tom Selleck.
But anyway, we're getting off track. I'll pull us back in. Right. So obviously, Lewis failed the invention and goes home respectably upset as as everyone's like cleared out of the area now. Bowler hat guy comes back in and puts the machine back together, and then they take it away with them somewhere. If I
Yeah,
remember correctly, he's going to like try and pass the invention off as his own to get like a sponsor or something to make money, and then he was going to pitch the idea of the helping hat, which is Dolores,
yeah,
as part of like their overall plan. Which makes you wonder why he doesn't just use Dolores first.
yeah. You think that is actually a really good pothole, to be honest. Like, why
Yeah, it's
didn't he
like
just?
if he needs like a big invention to get the sponsor or to mass produce Dolores, why does he just use Dolores as the first example? Why does he need the mind reading one or memory thing? Yeah, but it's just a minor plot hole, I guess.
Yeah, that's a fair comment,
Yeah,
as I say. But it is what it is. It's no film is without its plot holes here and there.
yeah,
Anyway, so Lewis is upset, and then Wilbur's like, "Oh, I'm a time cop, la di da di da," and he's like,
yeah. He
"You're
tries
not
the
a
time
time
clock
cop.
thing.
It's just a coupon." And he's like, "All right, you've got me. I'm not a time
One
cop, but
sec.
I am from the future." And then he's like, "All right, you prove to me I'm from the future. I'll go back in time. No, I'll go back and do that stupid invention." He's like, "Brilliant." And then he pushes him off the building, and you're like, "Bloody hell, what's happening here?" But then obviously he lands on the time machine, and they go to the future. The future has arrived. The future has arrived today. The future has arrived. And the future looks pretty cool. There's some interesting, like, it's not just your typical flying cars and boring stuff and George Jensen or Futurama. It's well, actually, Futurama's an interesting way of the way the future is, but this is definitely a unique
Hmm.
look. With them traveling around in bubbles, and there's no like
Yeah,
cars. It's just the only transportation is the where you've got Adam West's bloody pizza delivery ship, and then you've got two time machines.
yeah,
And then straight away he's like, "Look, okay, I'm from the future now. Go back and do your crap." And he's like, "No, I want to see it. I want to have a look around." He's like, "No, we're going back." And he's like, "Come on." He said, and he's like,
yeah.
"Take me to
He
see my
immediately
mom."
tries to hijack the time machine so he can go back in time
Yeah.
to see his mom.
And then the ship goes,
Yeah, they crash.
and then he's
And
like,
the
"All right,
machine
then
is
you've got to
broken.
fix this time machine now." So, and that's how we get some interesting, an interesting plot device, and that's why he stays in the future for a bit because he's got to fix a time
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah, which does give us like the general idea of the plot.
Yeah.
So he's in the future trying to fix the time machine, and occasionally just meeting up with Wilbur's family,
Mhm.
whilst also like, hiding his hair because Wilbur tells him that his hair gives away he's from the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this
Oh,
is where a lot of the nonsensical humor comes in. As I said, is that the family are all very eccentric in very silly ways that just
hold on.
are kind of
I'm
random.
looking at the script. I just wanted to bring up a
Oh,
scene quickly.
yep, go for it.
The so this is a funny scene with Goob where he walks up to this lady behind the counter,
Oh,
and
this one, yeah.
then she says, "I'll have your dry cleaning delivered to you directly." He says, "What now? What time is it? What's your appointment? You talking to me? Yes. What time's your appointment? Oh, the big hand is on the 2 o'clock. You're the 2 o'clock. Yes, I am. You're Mary Johnson. Yes, Mary's short for Marianne. Can that be a boy name? Yes. Then yes. Have a seat.
Oh yeah, that scene.
Oh, goody. And it's like he's not some mysterious evil dude. He's just a bit of a confused numbnut and a bit of a
Yeah,
numbskull.
it's made very very obvious very quick that Dolores is the brains of the operation.
Yeah. Well, is it Dolores or Doris?
Oh, it
I
might be
keep
Doris. I don't actually fully know the names.
I keep forgetting
I
myself.
haven't actually
Yeah,
seen
it's
the movie.
Doris.
Doris, okay.
DOR15. That's interesting. That's why they call her Doris. Fair enough.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Doris.
I thought it was just a nickname that the bloody Lewis gave her. But yeah, it's quite funny how she's trying to help him from outside, and then the window's shut, and then when he's doing stuff, and this proves even more that she's the brains of the operation, because when he has to do stuff on his own, he just completely fails everything, and then the bald bloke, he ends up flying over the table and knocking into bowler hat guy. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, so let's talk about my payment or whatever it is, and then he just gets kicked out the building. So that was
Yeah.
pretty funny. Who dares disturb my sanctuary? Carly's not too bad. Carl, it's me. Let me in. No one may enter unless they speak the raw password. Carl, what are you talking about? We don't have a password. Yes, we do. I made one up while you're gone. Well, how am I supposed to know what it is? You. Good point. And it's like, I think Carl's like a better version of Ben from Treasure Planet. He's not that. He's
Yeah.
not that funny, but like he seems like a bloke who actually cares about helping
Yeah.
out, and
He has a
doesn't rat that
decent
well.
bit of banter with Wilbur as well.
Yeah, he just seems like an all right lad. This robot does.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you mentioned before I mentioned all this other crap, you mentioned about how it's just a lot of random XD humor with the Robinsons, which is a bit annoying.
Yeah. So a lot of the jokes this movie, depending how you like, if you like random nonsensical humor, you'll probably get a good laugh out of the movie. But if that's not your type of humor, it's not going to be very funny. Because the bulk of the jokes are like random XD humor. Yeah.
The only thing I kind of like is I guess the frogs are kind of funny when they're being like hypnotized by the bowler hat, and the Adam West.
Oh
bloke,
the bit with the bowler hat hypnotizing. Yeah.
And Adam West is kind of funny with all his flying around. And
Yeah,
the only
pizza
character I
delivery.
really don't like, I think the German woman's a little bit strange. The ginger-haired lady who's voiced by a bloke is a bit odd. And then the worst of all is the bloke who bloody is married to a puppet. I don't even
The guy
want
with the
to go
puppet
down
for a
that
hand.
road. I've got no idea how that puppet is someone's mom. I don't even.
Yeah, better we don't ask questions on that
Yeah.
one. I feel like there's some questions we don't deserve the answer to.
Yeah, exactly. Bang on the money.
Yeah. So this bit's a lot of randomness, and then eventually, after meeting the whole family and that, it is, I guess, time for dinner. Now, which again we have we have this hypnotized frog. Like again, as you can tell, this movie is going to be a bit weird. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
We've also got Dolores. Say Doris. Why do I keep saying Dolores? It's probably because of Encanto. All right. yeah, so you got Doris like who's trying to like drop the chandelier on Lewis, but as you know, Lost Bowler Hat guy, or as we know him as Goob, but that's supposed to be a plot twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, is basically he's got like a mini bowler hat that he's using to like mind control this like frog.
So George has
Oh,
thrown an interesting take out there.
oh, what's this?
That's one sticky puppet.
I mean, it probably is. Again, there's some questions that mortals aren't supposed to know the answers to. The puppet is one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah. So there's so he like tells like the frog to like go get the boy. He's like, there's a lot of people over there, and I have small arms. I'm not sure how well this plan was thought through, because obviously it wasn't.
Yeah.
Also during the dinner scene, the robot pulls out Lewis's like PB and J gun, except it jams. The one from the interview at the beginning,
Yeah.
or at least a more like futuristic version of it. But Lewis recognizes the general design.
Mm-hmm.
But it jams, so it's unable to do the thing. So Lewis goes to try and fix it, and it kind of fails and shoots like jelly and peanut butter everywhere, which originally seems to trigger some kind of trauma in Lewis, because he's immediately apologizing as if he's just caused the peanut allergy reaction again.
Yeah.
But instead, the family like celebrate that it failed because it was spectacular.
Because you learn from your lessons, you get a bit better.
And then we get another thing for this movie's general message, and that is like one of the family members says, "From failure you learn, from winning not so much."
Yeah, exactly.
And also throughout the family, like every family member constantly keeps repeating the phrase "keep moving forward," because apparently that's Cornelius's catchphrase that he's basically built his entire like thing around.
Yeah. Which I like it in a way, but I don't know. I don't wish there. I like themes to be a bit more subtle than just saying "keep moving forward."
Yeah, I think if
It
they
is
only
done
said it
well.
once or twice, it would be better. But the fact that everyone in the family repeats it constantly, it kind of ham-fists it into you of what the message of the movie is going to be.
Definitely,
like we could have had them say it once, maybe twice, and then of course have Lewis's revelation after meeting future Goob.
Yeah,
and that would have done it better. So I already said that at the beginning of the movie, Lewis is very stuck in the past, and so is Goob. Right. Okay, for anyone who hasn't seen the movie and hasn't figured out, Goob is obviously Bowler Hat Guy and Lewis's roommate from the beginning. Yeah. It's why I specifically mentioned like him keeping his roommate up all night constantly while building that invention.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Bowler Hat Guy decides to go back in time with the mini bowler hat and bring back a fucking T-Rex.
Yeah.
To try and get Lewis. So we get like a kind of random like T-Rex fight scene with the family.
It's pretty good though. It's nice how the family really Lewis's back.
It's cool seeing the family like step and work together to bring it down.
Yeah.
And also we have another one of the classic jokes which was shown in all the trailers. What are you doing? Grab the boy already. I got a big head and little arms. I'm just not sure how well this plan was thought through.
Yeah.
Just echoing the fucking frog again.
That was pretty good.
I'm repeating again, Goob is kind of an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely not the smartest, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, and then after that he's like, damn, you really had my back there. And then Franny says, "Oh, do you want us to adopt you?" And then
because Wilbur accidentally reveals that Lewis is an orphan.
Yeah.
So the family decide they want to adopt him.
Mm-hmm.
So Wilbur, to try and avoid a issue occurring, knocks the hat off Lewis's head, and as soon as the family see his hair, they obviously change their mind about the adoption thing.
Yeah.
Now we think it's because he's from the past, but no, it's also because he has Cornelius's head, because obviously it's a very distinct haircut.
Yeah.
so the family immediately clock on that this is like past Lewis. That this is like past Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So after that, like Lewis runs away upset, and Wilbur obviously gets in trouble with the family. And while this is happening, bowler hat guy captures Lewis.
Well, he tricks him into joining.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
tricks him. Yeah.
I've got a time machine and I can take you back to see your mom. And he's like, oh, okay then. And yeah, then after that, he kidnaps him and tricks him and then says, all right. Well, no, he doesn't kidnap him at first. He says, so how does this work? Then he says, oh, here you go. If one were to work this machine, how would you work it? And he tells him what to do. And then he's like,
Yeah,
oh,
he tells him how to
brilliant.
work the machine. Then he kidnaps him.
Then he ties him up. And then he's like, he's like, what did I ever do to you? Why did you do anything to me? He's like, you still haven't figured it out. And he's like, well,
yeah. And then Lewis recognizes that the room he's being held in was their old room at the orphanage.
Yeah.
At which point Goob reveals who he actually is, that being Goob, who is obviously Lewis's old roommate.
Yeah.
And he reveals that a lot of his disdain and that for Lewis is because of Lewis like keeping him up all night, every night, working on his invention. Goob fell asleep during the big baseball game and missed the winning catch, which caused everyone in the school to get mad at him.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
The thing is, the kids weren't even mad at him that long, but he just got so stewed in his like self-hate about it and like anger at like him failing the catch, because Goob also failed to get adopted like Lewis, because every adoption interview he'd go to, he would bring up that he like failed this like catch and tried to explain why he fucked it up, even though I don't think any of them actually care about that. As well as like I like how they immediately like contradict what he says in the flashback as well. He's like, they show the kids like asking if he wants to come around, like hang out with them or go around their house for a sleepover, and he's like, they all hated me. So I like how like it's showing that like he got a bit stuck up on this one fuck up that he just assumes everyone hates him now.
Yeah,
even though that's clearly not the case. But
to be honest,
he's stuck in the past.
His backstory is quite sad because he seems like some dude who just fixated on one thing and he's just upset that no one wanted to adopt him, and then he's stuck in the orphanage for basically forever. And it's the only
he basically stays there until it closes down.
You know, something that I like in that future, it's the only building that's old and manky, and that's the building that he's in, and he's stuck in the past, and that building is in the past. So I think even that that is quite a nice, interesting way of showing Goob's mentality.
Yeah.
Like the
in a way, young Lewis and future Goob are very much in a similar boat of both are stuck in the past. But where the story differs is Lewis learns to move forward and not so, whilst Goob let the past fucking define his person.
Yeah, and he even agrees with Lewis says, "Look, why don't you?" He says, "Look, I'm
this
sorry."
Way Lewis realizes the whole keep moving forward thing, which I feel like that revelation would have been a bit better as well if again they weren't repeating it throughout the movie constantly. Like if they had only done it once or twice and then had Lewis come to that realization, I think it would have been a bit better. But obviously, at this point, Lewis realizes he's Wilbert's dad as well.
Yeah.
During this whole bit.
And the thing is, he has a bit of sympathy for Goob because he's like, look, I'm sorry your life turned out so bad, but don't blame me. You messed up yourself. You just focused on the bad stuff when all you had to do was let go of the past and keep moving forward. And he goes, let's see, take responsibility for my own life or blame you. Blame you!
Blame you wins hands down. Which, to be fair, like, a lot of people will do that, actually, where instead of taking accountability for their own fuck-ups, they'll take any scapegoat to dodge accountability.
Yeah, except they won't be as honest as Goob was. Goob's been straight.
They won't be as honest as Goob was, but a lot of people can't accept accountability for their own fuck-ups. Yeah. And will use anyone and everyone as a scapegoat to justify it.
Yeah, exactly. It's very sad what's happening in the modern world.
Yeah, it really is.
And to be honest, it is difficult to take accountability for the things that you do, but once you do, it sort of like sets you free to a degree, and you can get some building blocks to get on the right track.
Exactly, yeah.
Because if you just live in the past, it doesn't do you any good. And he was jealous of Lewis. Jealous people. If you live with a jealous mentality, you're never going to be satisfied with what you have. You're always going to look at what someone else has.
Well, the constant thing over the radio about all of Lewis's accomplishments. his like jealousy and envy of that, as well as his like already dislike for Lewis, because Lewis kept him up, making him lose the game, just warped into a really like twisted mentality around it.
Yeah. And to be
And
honest,
that
it just
is when he met Doris, who was a invention that Lewis or Cornelius. Okay, we'll use Cornelius when referring to the future one because it will
Yeah.
save the confusion. Otherwise, we're going to be saying like Lewis a lot. Cornelius tried to invent a hat that would help people in their day to day, but the hat grew sentience and didn't want to be a servant. So Cornelius had to shut it down, but the hat restarted itself, broke free of the like lab where it was being held, and then ran into Goob, where the two basically formed a partnership to ruin Cornelius and Lewis's life.
Yeah.
But they come up with the idea of like sabotaging his brain scanner so he doesn't find his family, and then posing off as their own to like to make their own future successful.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah. So after this, Doris and Goob go back to the past. This time, knowing how to fix the invention, they do, and they win the sponsor thing. After which, the guy asks if they have any other like groundbreaking inventions, and Goob reveals the helping hat, which is Doris.
Yeah.
Which the guys then start mass producing Doris, and we get a fucking Skynet situation where they basically take over the future.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've basically mind controlled everyone, and it's heavily implied Goob was killed by the attacking like Dorises as well.
I reckon he was, yeah.
Yeah, it's heavily implied he was killed.
He had a very horrible death there, getting ripped to shreds
Yeah.
by a bloody metal hat, by a hat with metal arms.
Yeah, and it's also like one of those things like this is where you realize he fucked up and made a mistake, but it was revealed but he realized too late.
But,
so Lewis in like the future for the like this bit of the movie and the general future under Doris is actually really fucking dark when you think about it.
Yeah, I don't get how what's her face, how all the Robinsons are there still. They wouldn't have existed. Oh wait, no, they would have done. They would have still existed. Yeah, actually, yeah, they would have done. It's only Wilbur and yeah, I don't know what would have happened to that version of Lewis. I guess he would have probably got killed by the hats.
Yeah.
In that timeline. Actually, no, nothing would have happened because he got took to the future.
Yeah, I think this is another like plot hole in the movie. I think it's just there to like to shock us seeing like the family like under this possession of like Doris's hat. But so we have a kind of tense chase scene where Lewis is like trying to is piloting one of the time machines whilst trying to fix it so it can actually time travel. All the while he's trying to like get away from Doris and her like mind controlled like zombies.
Mm-hmm.
And he manages to fix it and goes back in time, and he goes to the meeting place where like just before Goob can sign the like contract. And he tries to like reveal to Goob what Doris is planning. And then I think Doris goes to attack him, but he basically paradoxes Doris out of existence by saying, I am never going to invent you.
Yeah.
Which causes a time paradox because she was never invented, so could never do any of the manipulation she was doing.
Yeah, it's a bit weird though that he had to say that to her. Couldn't he have just thought it in his head? But that would have been a bit boring if he just thought
that
it.
Would have, yeah.
And the world just changed. And then Will was like, "How did you fix everything?" Oh, I just thought in my brain that I'm never going to invent her, but she deserved it. It was cool how you see her hat burn, and then she goes, and then blows up. That was pretty interesting.
Afterwards, he takes Goob back to the future of him, and Goob sees the like future Doris created before it gets turned back to normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say as well, I like some of the scenes in the lead up to the final climax. With, the robot saying, we'll get this sorted, Lewis,
I did miss that scene, yeah.
You have to fix the time machine, Lewis. And he's like, no, I can't. He says, what about your dad? You could call him, you are my dad, but that's in the future. There won't be a future unless you fix this machine. He's like, look, I messed up. I left the garage door open. I've tried to crazy to fix things, but now it's up to you. And then Wilbur gets sucked out of existence, and you're like, damn, that's crazy. And obviously the robot got stabbed by Doris earlier. Can't remember his name. Carl, that's it. He's pretty, as I say, he's pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, what I like about this, the whole situation after Goob, there's a deleted scene where Goob's actually shown himself catching the ball, which was pretty nice. But I don't know. I would have liked that scene to be in there, but at the same time, I don't really mind them executing
Yeah.
everything how they did with Lewis tying up one last loose end, saying "Goob, quick, catch it," and he catches it, and then everyone
Yeah.
celebrates.
So after everything's been like made up and made amends, Lewis goes back to the past, except Wilbert takes them back to the day his mom like abandoned him at the orphanage because
Oh
that was the
yeah,
deal they initially made.
that's the arc coming full
And
circle.
yeah, and Lewis, and it's not in that scene. It's actually revealed that Lewis is the one that rang the doorbell for the person in charge of the orphanage to come answer it and like find Lewis, because it's revealed that the mother actually heard some like she heard a twig snap, which was revealed was Lewis, and ran off.
Yeah.
So it's revealed that like Lewis is the one that rang the doorbell as well.
I think
So
their arcs are, as I say, Lewis Wilbur and Goob's arcs are great because Wilbur's a grifter who, he's having to lie to Lewis all the time and he messes things up and leaves the garage door open. He's trying to get the
yeah,
future back to normal because the bowler hat guy has travelled back. Goober's travelled back in time to ruin everything. And then Lewis has to learn to move forward and not be stuck in the past. And then right at the end of the film, even though Wilbur knows in his mind, yeah, I might not exist, Lewis might just talk to his mom and then he gets to live with her for the rest of his life, and I fade out of existence. But I've made a deal and I have to stick to my word for once. So that's an amazing arc for him. And same as Lucy realizes, you know what? No, I'm not going to do this. And then Wilbur's like, why didn't you do it? And that's what you wanted. And he said, I already have a family. And I thought, man, that's probably like one of the best moments. That's the best moment of the film. I don't
it
care
is.
what anyone
Yeah.
says. All
So
that bit.
Lewis runs back to this, goes back to like the day of where this all occurred, and quickly goes back to the school before it's abandoned to like fix his invention and do it properly this time. But before he goes in, as I said, he ties up one last end. He quickly runs to like where the baseball game is happening because it was happening at the school as well, and he quickly wakes Goob up in time for Goob to make the catch.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty good. And you see Goob talking to two parents who look like they're going to adopt him.
Yeah, and it seems like Lewis and Goob have actually mended their relationship a bit as well.
Yeah. I mean, I know in the end Goob should be okay. The original Goob has had a pretty sad ending. Like he gets offered to become a Robinson, and then he's just walked off, and then he just walks off on his own.
Yeah,
And mate, that is such like a sad, heartbreaking ending for him.
yeah.
But he deserves it. Like
Easily,
although he got
yeah,
took advantage of it, he did a lot of evil shit. So he needs to just try and sort himself out.
yeah. I think he did kind of like this. He did do some evil stuff, but at the same time, you could easily see him like going his own way as him like realizing he needs to like work on himself first as well.
Yeah, that's a fair
Instead
point.
of just taking a hand out to become a Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it. Is him walking away at the end is him like without saying, basically declaring like he needs to work on himself a bit first.
Yeah, because in his notebook it was just a question mark in it, wasn't it?
Yeah, because
So.
he didn't really know what to do next, did he?
Yeah, he's never had a job. He's got no qualifications. He's got no friends, nothing. He's just got to try and figure stuff out. But hopefully, this new version of Goob, things go all right for him, and he lives a regular life and all that cool jazz.
Yeah. So,
what else is there to say? I know I mentioned it to you before, but before the podcast started. But the final conversation Franny has with him is a little bit suspect. But I guess it's just to tell a lot. It's just to make sure things. I think what you told me before the podcast was correct. You said that it's just to make sure that he meets her and everything goes comfortable in the future, and that this future doesn't cease to exist. That's probably what it was about. Not her being a creep or anything.
Yeah. That's what I imagined it is, yeah.
And and the very ending's great with him inventing the song "These Small Hours." And him getting adopted and the invention working and all this cool wholesome jazz. He moved forward. There you go. Film, I'd say, isn't particularly that funny, but there's some okay funny moments. Like Goob's the funniest, and then
its storytelling is definitely where it's shining with its story.
Yeah, Lewis and Wilbur have a few good and back and forth, but as you just said, it's a storytelling. Overall, I'd say it's just a good standard film with a great message and a great theme to it, executed in just a good standard way. 7 out of 10 from me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd give it maybe a 7 or a 6. It's like I said, I wish it was a little bit funnier and didn't rely so much on random like XD humor. But
Yeah.
the storytelling is very good, and the general message of the like don't get stuck in the past, just keep going forward. And they said the character arcs of Wilbur, Lewis, and Goob were really good and well done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, man.
Again, I'm a person like who applauds like good storytelling, so you'd expect me to give it a higher result, but a huge chunk of the movie is just dedicated to random gags with the family.
Yeah, it
Like the
goes on
entire
for
middle
about.
of the movie is just random gags with the family, basically.
Yeah,
Like it's basically the beginning is like heartfelt, then it's then you get to the middle of the movie where it's just the random like family gags, and then it gets to the ending where he goes back to the story.
Peter Wayne has put gay.
Yeah, I don't know
Okay,
what that one's about.
yeah, very random comment from Peter Wayne.
Yeah.
So yeah, fair enough if you give it a 7 out of 10 as well. I mean, again, it's if the middle chunk was as strong as the first chunk and the last chunk, I'd
Yeah.
say it's probably
Like
like an 8. It's a great film.
yeah.
But the middle chunk holds it back a little bit, and the humour does as well. And most of the characters aren't that interesting, apart from the 3 that we mentioned.
Yeah.
Wilbur, Goob, and Lewis. They're the most interesting ones. Everyone else is kind of all right or not very good.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you ready to move on to the roasting session? Unless you got anything else you want to say about Meet the Robinsons.
No, not much.
Fair
Alright,
enough.
but now we're getting on to the bad one.
Chicken Little, aka the roasting session of Buck the Cook. And this film also has Adam West in it as well. Probably the only good scene of the film at the very end where he's playing the film version of Chicken Little.
So, Chicken Little, before we get into a plot synopsis and that, this movie is just generally bad. Like, it does a lot of things wrong. In a lot of ways. But obviously, like, we'll get into that when we go through the general plot, talking about the characters and scenes and shit. But man, like, it's amazing how they could fuck up so much shit in this movie in such a quick sequence.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, as I said, though it would just be your generically bad movie if it wasn't for the character we just mentioned a minute ago. And we'll get to him. All right. Let's see. So, do you want to start the plot synopsis?
Yeah, man. So we start off with a bizarre intro. It's like the Shrek intro, but a dreadful version of it.
Oh yeah, Buck's like
It
reading
tries-
over the fucking storybook, and he keeps like doing like swerve openings. So it's like, once upon a time, how many times have you heard that open a story?
And then he slams
like
the
that.
book, and the door slams and it cuts to black. And then he says, "Now how many?" And it goes, "Ah, Savenya, sissy boo." And then he goes like, "Oh, how many times have we heard that to begin a story? Let's do something else. I got it. Here's an opening to. Oh wait, no." Then he goes, "Ah, Savenya." And he goes, "No, I don't think that sounds familiar, doesn't it, to you?"
Yeah, he does like 3 like swerve openings before the actual one starts.
Then the thing is, they don't. It doesn't even do anything unique. It's just a turning camera shot to Chicken Little going, "Run for your lives! Run for your lives!"
The
Banging
sky
the
is
bell.
full. Yeah, he's like ringing the bell and like saying the sky is full, which kicks up a huge panic across the whole town.
Yeah, but the thing is, he doesn't actually say the sky's fallen at first. He just says, "Run for your lives! Run for your lives!"
Yeah, he's just saying
SOS,
word for
Mayday,
like, and it's
Mayday.
when they ask him
Code red.
what's going on,
Oh,
then he
Mayday.
says the sky is falling.
Emergency! Emergency! Run for your lives! And everyone is going into absolute mad pandemonium. And then instead of asking what was wrong at first to try and solve the issue, a bloke asks why after the town has just been all destroyed and wrecked. He says, "Chicken Little, what's wrong?" And he goes, "The sky's falling, the sky's falling." And they all calm down. And then we come to the first. I mean, obviously, this was just a bunch of random mad hokum. It wasn't really that interesting. But we come to the first problem. The town is very mean to Chicken Little, a bloody 12-year-old kid.
So while he's trying to explain the story of like how he got hit by a piece of the sky, an acorn falls on his head, and everyone just immediately writes it off as, "Oh, he just got hit in the head of an acorn and caused the scene."
Yeah.
And it does. And then we have the first fucking thing on the list of things against fucking Buck, the cook here. He immediately throws his son under the bus as well to try and mitigate any like issue on his end.
Yeah, exactly. He's just a complete.
He just immediately throws his son under the bus.
Like, because he says,
no
"Well,
hesitation.
Well, I mean, tell you, folks, my son, you know, kids do crazy stuff. You have kids, it's and then, but before that, he says, what does he say? So this is what it comes up as 3 times. He says, because there's loads of mics in his face, and this is what it's saying on the script. But a big acorn level flut, a big acorn level flut. And they're like, what are you on
Yeah.
about? What was it? An ape throwing coleslaw? It was a big acorn? A big acorn level flut? Gesundheit. And you know, it's like, why are they all sticking microphones in his face and making reports over some
Yeah.
kid who cried wolf? It's just pathetic. And then straight
Yeah.
after, Book says, a movie. This is a year later, so I don't get why Book is talking about this. Makes him
Yeah.
even more of a
There's
bellend.
another thing about like this town just generally being ridiculously mean for no reason. They decide to take this incident and make a fucking movie about it to humiliate Chicken Little.
It's like cancel culture times 10. And he goes, a movie. They're making a movie. When will everybody forget your big mistake? First, it was all over the papers, and they wrote a book about it. Then the book on tape. Then the board game. Then the spoons with your face on it. And the website, the commemorative plates, and the website. And you saw the commemorative plates. You saw them, right? You can't eat off of them, but they're there. You saw the billboards, but they got bumper stickers, and I knew it was a matter of time. But bumper stickers is like it's glued on forever, and it's like, don't they need Chicken Little's permission to like make bumper stickers of him? Haven't they broken some
It's
sort
just
of
like
law?
the general extent this town went to on this bit is insane. Like they made so much random merch over this one incident.
And it's just aggravating though that he's not on his son's side at all. He's just completely on the
No,
side of the town. Even in private, he's completely against his son. He's like, just
yeah,
play a game where you lay low and don't draw any attention to yourself. It's like a game of hide
yeah.
and seek,
At
but you
no
never get
point
found.
until like the end of the movie does he ever actually side with his son or back his son up, and even then it feels unearned.
It feels very, very forced as well.
It does, yeah. It's very forced and feels unearned. He just like, yeah. So, anyone who's like done reviews on Chicken Little knows full well Buck the Cook is like one of the worst animated like show dads.
Yeah.
Like, not even like kidding. This man is just horrible. And I said he sides against his son the entire movie. The only time he seems to be any kind of semblance proud of Chicken Little is when Chicken Little does something to earn the town's admiration.
Yeah.
And as soon as like Chicken Little has another one of these incidents, he immediately throws his son under the bus a second time to try and save his own face.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Jesus Christ. Alright, I've got to go AFK for a few minutes. So if you want to continue the plot synopsis, and I'll get back.
No worries. So yeah, he sides against his son twice, but yeah, so there's some daftness here, really. So he's giving Chicken Little a lift to the bus stop, but then all the kids are nasty to him. He gets bloody trampled on, and the bus drives off, and then he's trying to say, wait, and the bus just drives away, and it's like, how is everyone so mean in this, man? How are all the adults in the town so just utterly nasty and horrible and irredeemable? They're such a bunch of twits. The soundtrack's pretty good though. I think most of the songs they use in the film are all right. They're obviously not the only one that's made specifically for the film is the One Little Slip one. That one's really good by Bare Naked Ladies. That's a great song. The rest of them are just random songs that I chose, but they're all right songs. I really like that one, the one in the training montage. That one's very good. I really like. Obviously, I'm a big REM fan. I really enjoy REM. So, The End of the World as We Know It is good, but they only play the chorus over and over and over again. They don't actually play any of the lyrics, which I think the verses like are the best part of the song. But it's whatever. The chorus is great. Also, they have bloody Patrick Stewart in this, man. Like Chicken Little can't get to the school on time. Well, he does get to the school, but his trousers get caught on a piece of gum. So he ends up having to like try and fly into school using a bottle on his back, like a cola bottle or whatever it is, or a fizzy drink. And he's got paper shorts on, which is a bit daft. But yeah, straight away though, like the school is stupid, man. Straight away, they're just a bunch of idiots. Like Patrick Stewart's character is like, well, very well, Foxy Loxy, present pretty punctual. Goosey Lucy, master runt of the litter. Call him Runt of the litter. That's pretty nasty. And then it's like, Henny Penny, Ducky Lucky, Fuzzy Wuzzy, Morcupine Porcupine. Yo, he's the only good part of the film, the only good character. Fish out of water, quiet. Abby Mallard, Ugly Duckling, the Foxy Loxy says, and then he goes, Class, I will not tolerate rude behavior at the expense of a fellow. Ah! You mustn't sneak up on me, Abby. Where was I? Oh, yes, Chicken Little. And it's like, like even the teacher isn't really helping the students. I get that that joke was probably done for a bit of a laugh and a bit of fun, but it just seems a bit mean-spirited and nasty, man. And then obviously they have some awful segregating of the students where they split people up, and he says, the bloke who's the coach says, all right, then we're doing this dodgeball game. Popular and unpopular, And it's like, bloody hell, that's just horrible. And and then he's basically like saying, oh, let's just abuse everyone let's just abuse the pig. Because he's like, how about we look at safety guidelines? And he's like, throw the ball at the pig, kids.
Oh, we're at the dodgeball scene.
The pig, kids. And that dodgeball scene is just pretty cruel, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Pretty nasty. But yeah, I talked about him running to school and all that. I talked about the scene where Patrick Stewart's going, Foxy Loxy, oh, you shouldn't sneak up on me, Abby. That was
he's naming off all the kids' names, and like all of them were just puns or jokes.
Yeah.
Also, I never said with this town just being overly mean. One of the kids is literally named the Ugly Duckling.
Very nasty.
Yeah.
It's just
weird.
Again,
this town is apparently just full of dickheads.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest as well, the dialogue mostly isn't really that funny. Like, I'll read some Chicken Little and Abby dialogue. He's like, running with my old nemesis, Gum in the crosswalk. He won this round, your old foe. Mm-hmm. And coming on your right, thank you. I heard about the movie, Tough Break, yeah. Well, maybe that it'll go straight to video, and it's like, I don't know, the dialogue just, they're trying to sound...
The dialogue's not
very
well
good.
written or funny.
Yeah.
This is what I mean by this movie gets a lot wrong, and you're going to see more of it as we go through this plot synopsis. The writing is bad, the jokes are bad, the characters are all like overly mean, there's a lot of pop culture references and pop music randomly playing for scenes.
Yeah.
There's very little of actual substance in this movie.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So, after all this, there's a timeout because a bunch of the dodgeballs got stuck on the porcupine.
Yeah. And then everyone just goes on their phones, which is pretty pretty ahead of its time.
And while that was happening, they were all in a timeout. Foxy beamed the Ugly Duckling in the face of the dodgeball.
Yeah. And
then when Chickula tries to stand up to her, she sets her henchman on him, because she has a henchman, of course.
Yeah.
It's like a goose, which... I think it's a geese. Is it a goose or yeah, I think it's a goose.
Mm-hmm.
But so she beats up Chicken Little a bit, and then she sends it flying into the window of the gym. As he falls down, he hits the fire alarm, which of course causes the sprinklers to fall on, which immediately just gets blamed all on him.
Yeah, it's very dumb.
Again.
And then you have a scene with the principal, who's played by the bloke who voiced Rex in Toy Story. He goes,
yeah,
not showing up for class, inappropriate school attire, picking fights in the gym class, and the fire alarm. Ever since the sky falling instant, he's been nothing but trouble. Buck, I've got the most respect for you. I mean, you were Buck the Cook Ace.
I find it funny how the principal is badmouthing Chicken Little and fucking dick riding his dad in the same bit.
Our school baseball porn star. But let's face it, your son is nothing like you at all. So hold on, even if that point was valid, what does that have to do with him setting the fire alarm off? That has nothing to do with some teacher talking to the parent. It's just nonsense.
Going off what I can guess, this town worships baseball.
Yeah,
the fact
very
that
strange.
Buck is seen as a town hero because he won a big game once.
Yeah, madness.
It seems like this town just worships baseball.
Yeah, it's pretty strange.
Yeah, and then on the drive home, Buck continues to throw his son under the bus. and not help out at all.
Yeah, because he's like, baseball. We talked about this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chicken says he's thinking of trying out for baseball, and his dad's like, "Hey, have you tried having other dreams?
yeah, it's like goodness
Ones that
gracious.
might not involve humiliating me."
Yeah, it's just horrible. It's like that. He's talking to a 12-year-old or 13-year-old kid. Like, come on, mate. You
Yeah.
really are just like a nasty cook. He really is the biggest cook going.
Yeah.
I don't care about people who actually are cooks. This bloke is the biggest cook that has ever been presented on screen. Like,
Yeah.
how can he just keep putting Chicken Little down 24/7 to this level? Like, it's not funny. It's not entertaining. It's just mean. I know I've mentioned before the podcast, Peter Griffin is pretty mean and evil and horrible to his kids. But at least it's all just like bizarre, bloody, over the top Family Guy humor, as much as I don't find it funny. Well, with this, it's like it's meant to be a part of the story and it isn't done as a joke. It's done as like him just being horrible,
Yeah.
And he just tells him, getting to stamp collecting, son, We'll stop, get some stamps, It's like,
Yeah, basically, he's trying to ward Chicken Little off, like, pursuing what he wants to do, basically.
it's madness. He should just say, oh, well, actually, if he was that good at baseball, why didn't he just train his son a bit? Well, I don't know. And then he says, just do me one favor, son. And he says, why, sure, Dad, anything. Just please try not to get your hopes too high. It's like, mate, but the cook needs to be turned into...
It's like, what? Yeah, like, what parent
be...
tells their, like, kid not to get their, like, hopes up when trying something?
He needs to be
and again,
turned
you can
into
tell
bloody...
it's all because he doesn't want it to embarrass... He doesn't want Chicken Little to embarrass him.
Yeah, he needs to be turned into a
doesn't care about, like,
KFC
Chicken
meal,
Little's,
man.
like...
He's so nasty. He needs to be turned into a chicken meal or KFC or something because he's just so horrible. But the cook.
Yeah. But yes, so then we have like a baseball montage, which basically just has the Fox girl basically just dominating the entire season.
Yeah, but
While
Chicken Little's
Little
training
just
hard.
sat on the bench the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get to the final game, and they like need one more home run to win. And the next one up to bat is Chicken Little.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone immediately is like, "Oh, he's gonna lose the game for us. Fuck."
Yeah. He says, "Look at me, take the walk, don't swing. You hear me? Just take the walk."
Yeah, because Foxy's up next, so if he can get the walk, Foxy will most likely hit a home run, and they'll win on that. That's what they're all betting on. But it's the fact that, like, as soon as he goes up, the entire town's like, "Oh, we've lost. He's gonna fuck it."
Mm-hmm.
Including again, fucking Buck the cook here.
Yeah, he's like trying to hide his face.
He's like, "Well, I'm not gonna be able to show my face in this town ever again."
I don't get why Morcupine though. I don't get why he let me down. He was like, no, to Chicken Little. At least he wasn't as nasty as the rest of the people going, don't swing, and going ballistic.
But obviously, so the opposing team basically, when Chicken Little comes up, they're all like easy out, and all of them basically just start relaxing.
Yeah.
And Chicken Little manages to hit the ball, and he basically manages to get the home run, but only because the other team were like chilling out for most of it. They didn't even realize he hit the ball until he was like halfway across the thing.
Yeah. And he gets all the credit just for winning the final game.
Yeah, because he got the winning home run.
Yeah, obviously Foxy Loxy's a tit, but she did most of the legwork, and then he's getting all the credit because he just got one home run. It's like
so his dad is suddenly like proud of him and like and that. And it seems like things are kind of starting to look over Chicken Little. The town seemed to have forgot about the acorn incident.
Yeah.
Because he won a game of baseball, so all sins forgiven in this town. Because baseball is king, apparently.
Yeah, very mad.
I'm sticking to my theory of this town just worships baseball.
Yeah, they definitely do.
But, so we get to that. And then, the thing... So, Chicken Little gets hit in the head by a panel of something which reflects the sky. Yeah, so a piece of the sky. Like at the beginning of the movie. Which causes him to obviously have a bit of a freak out because it's happening again. And so he calls his friends over because obviously he can't bring this up to his dad. His dad's not exactly been the most supportive person.
Yeah, bang on, unfortunately.
So he calls his friends over and they try to like figure out what to do about it. And then the fish activates the panel, and it basically they follow it, and it leads to a spaceship. Because of course aliens in this plot.
You know what was weird with that scene? The Abby was looking at the sign and was getting hypnotized by it, and it's like, that's a bit odd.
Yeah.
Strange, just randomly put in there for no reason.
Yeah, it doesn't even like mount anything later either. Just
Yeah,
memorized.
I don't know. Maybe later on they could have seen someone getting hypnotized by the ship, and then that could like make the ship crash out
Yeah,
a bit.
maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. Then
But,
going on the ship is, I guess, not the worst sequence ever, but they don't really do anything interesting with it. They just look around.
Yeah, it's gonna poke around. They find this big map of like a bunch of planets crossed out and like a circle around Earth with a bunch of arrows, which makes them think, oh, the aliens are like destroying worlds or something.
Yeah.
And then the aliens come back, and basically something that was in the ship is now no longer there. That being Kirby, who is the like alien son.
Yeah.
Right.
Got a pretty unique design. I haven't seen
Yeah.
aliens looking like ginger pubic hair or whatever he's meant to be.
Yeah, sure. So the aliens come back, find Kirby missing, and spot Chicken Little, his friends, like leaving the ship, and assume, oh, he took our son, because that actually is a pretty like normal thing to think in this situation.
Yeah.
So they end up chasing like Chicken Little and his friends to try and like catch them so they can get their son back. So Chicken Little rings the bell again, which causes the aliens to retreat and alert the town.
Yeah.
Only when the town arrived, the ship's already cloaked itself, and thus everyone thinks this is a repeat of the Acorn incident. And his dad, once again, with no hesitation, throws him under the bus.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? He's like, Dad, you gotta believe me this time. It's for real. And he's
no,
like,
son,
no,
I don't.
I don't. It's crazy. And you know what makes it just the icing on top for Buck the Cook being a complete bloody twit? I'm trying to find the line here. So, actually, I'll just try and recall it off the top of my head. It's something like him saying, Dad, wait. He's like, son, we gotta go. He's like, wait. He says, I know the sky's falling. I can see that now. Yes, he's like, no apology after everything that he said, after all the humiliation, all the times thrown,
we'll get to that bit in a moment. We'll get to that scene in a second.
What an absolute twit. How can he not apologize for everything he's done and just say, oh yeah, forget it? And then he's like, well, you wouldn't believe me anyway. And then he just runs off. And like Buck's shocked that Chicken Little's ran off after, even when he's been proven that the sky's falling, he doesn't trust what he wants his son to do.
So, sky was full. Alien invasion. Look up. There it is. Like he's like, instead of apologizing to his son about the fact his son was right all the time, he's sassing his son instead.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so Chicken Little is obviously moping after this incident has occurred a second time, basically. At which point he meets Kirby, who basically just wandered off the ship, actually.
Yeah.
And speaking to him, they learned that his name is Kirby. His parents are basically bringing the Galactic Armada to get him back. And then randomly, the pig makes a fucking Star Wars like.
Darth Vader's Luke's father.
Yeah, which feels kind of just out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's just pop culture shoved down everyone's throats just for the sake of it.
And then obviously the invasion starts, and like we have that scene with Buck the Cook again.
Yeah.
Where he's like, so Chicken Little runs off to try and find Kirby. Kirby ran off somewhere, and obviously the invasion's only going to end once the parents get Kirby back.
Yeah.
So we have a scene just showing the aliens invading over. It's the end of the world, because every song in this movie is a fucking pop song.
Nah, well, I really like REM, to be honest.
I know, but it's the fact that every song in this movie is a fucking pop song.
Oh yeah, apart from the song at the start, every other song was just something ripped out of some artist's library.
Yeah, we've had fucking Tell Me What You Want. We've had End of the World. Later on, we have I Will Survive.
And he sings Staying Alive while he's on the alien ship.
Yeah.
And we had what was that one? I never have heard of the baseball montage song. But there was there's Don't Go Breaking My Heart at the end, which is a bit Elton
Also,
John. And,
when we get to the ending bit, that's another thing that's really fucked up, but we'll get to that in a bit.
yeah.
So obviously, the invasion's happening, everything's kind of not going well, but aliens are like beaming people up, just appearing to disintegrate them. But it's later revealed they're not being disintegrated, they're being teleported into the mothership to be interrogated.
Yeah, which you can't have people getting disintegrated in a kids' film.
Yeah, but they make you believe that they're being disintegrated.
Yeah, it's pretty mad.
And what the fucking first person you see them do it to is fucking Foxy.
Yeah, she tries to fight the aliens.
Yeah, she throws a rock at one, and then they zap her of the beam.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so we have a bit like Chicken Little finds Kirby in like the in like a theater, and Buck shows up, and then we get a really rushed like apology scene from Buck.
Yeah, because he says, you were never there for me. I mean, you were there when I won the game, but not when I thought the sky fell. He's like, and then he's like, you're ashamed of the acorn thing, and we have to talk because Modern Mallard says avoiding clothes can lead to molten, and I'm already small. On top of that, I can't handle being bold. And he's like, son, I didn't realize. I never meant to. The acorn sky thing. I mean, you're right. Your mom, she was always good at this stuff, and I'm gonna need a lot of work, but you need to know I love you no matter what, and I'm sorry if I ever made you feel like that was something you had to earn. It's like, well, you made him earn it, you bloody fat tit. You made him earn every bit of your love.
And also, his apology is the very generic, I've learned nothing from this. I'm just going to say what I think you want to hear so I can move on with my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, like, it's beat for beat, like, the apology out of, like, the fake apology book, where it's like, you obviously don't mean anything you're saying. You're just saying what you're pretty sure the person wants to hear, so you can move on with your life and do other things.
Yeah, exactly. And he says, return whatever it is. This crazy, wonderful. Just tell me what you need me to do. And it's like he's just putting a mask on. It's like, why is the film?
Yeah, it's very obvious. He's not changed. Yeah. He's not learned anything.
The writers are just making him change on purpose, but they're making us think he hasn't changed.
It's like I said, it doesn't feel earned, and it just kind of comes out of nowhere. It's like sudden change.
Oh yeah, but, I was going to say.
Yeah, so they managed to get to the top of the school, which is where the mothership is currently hanging, and they reveal that they have the child.
Yeah.
So they get beamed up into the ship and interrogated by
the mighty Acorn.
Yeah. So he interrogates them there. And then it's revealed that it's all just a big misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So the aliens stop their invasion. They start putting everything they zapped back into place.
Yeah.
And it's revealed that, like, the reason, like, the circles around the Earth is because this is apparently the only planet the aliens can find their acorns. And also it's revealed that, like, one of the panels on their mothership is loose and keeps falling off. And they make a joke of, if one of these hits going to hit someone in the head, they're going to think the sky's falling. Because, they have to fucking... They can't have any kind of subtlety. They gotta beam us over the head with that. Oh, this is what happened at the fucking beginning. Even though they showed us this earlier in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Because, subtlety is for good writing, not Chicken Little.
I don't even get what the whole meaning of the film was. Like, even as a kid, I didn't enjoy
I don't think it had one.
I just sort of think, what's anyone learned here? What was? I know not every film has to have some sort of meaning behind it or deeper like discussion, but really, the only thing I can sort of decipher is, well, Book was horrible and he's still horrible and he won't change. And
no one learns anything.
Some people won't change. Is that what it's meant to be? I don't know.
I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure the movie's trying to make it seem like Buck's changed, but it's obvious he hasn't. No one learns anything. No one changes their ways. No one improves. Also, Foxy's apparently had her brain scrambled from the zapping originally, and has a complete personality change.
Yeah.
And they go, we can fix her back up, only for the pig to go like, no, she's perfect like this. It's like, okay, we're just gonna leave her fucking like brain damage then. Okay.
So it's
I don't know what she did to deserve that fate. Sure, she was a bit of a bell end, but still.
Her parents. I know Foxy Loxy's an idiot, but she's got a lot of room to grow into an adult. And it's like her parents who raised her have basically lost that person, and now all they've got is some crazy lollipop.
Yeah, see like the fucking lollipop.
Or because of the word of some pig, the Patrick Warburton alien.
Okay, so we're just gonna leave this one person who, again, she was a jerk, but does it warrant like this type of like thing of basically losing your cognitive will
Yeah,
and like because yeah, she basically becomes an entirely different person.
yeah. It's like, surely why didn't the aliens ask like someone else? Like,
Yeah,
why
I'm
didn't they
sure
ask their parents?
anyone would have figured out like how not right this is,
Yeah, why are
but
they just
whatever.
taking the word of a fat pig? Actually, no, I shouldn't
Yeah,
call him that because they do make too many fat jokes at him, and
they do make a lot of
yeah.
fat jokes about the pig, a
I
bit
mean,
too many.
to be honest, I know
It's
I'm not
basically
a
the only joke the pig has is that he's fat.
yeah. I mean, to be honest, as much as I do find some fat jokes very funny, I don't like it being hammered over the head. It's like
Yeah,
the small jokes in Shrek. As much as I find most of them hilarious, we get it. Farquaad's like 4'11", you know. Just
yeah.
we get it now, you know.
It's basically each of the characters has like a one specific joke, and it will only do that joke.
Yeah, I
In
think
Chicken Little, the joke is he's small.
yeah,
Fucking
I
with
think in
Ugly
Shrek they
Duckling, the
should have.
joke is she's ugly.
Yeah, I think in Shrek they should have stopped the small jokes after he says, "You can do the measuring tomorrow, princess." They should have just stopped the small jokes after that.
Yeah, but yeah. So it's like the Ugly Duckling's jokes are that she's ugly. The pig's jokes
Yeah,
are he's fat. Chicken
mhm,
Little's jokes are always around him being small.
yeah,
The fish's jokes are that he's quirky, like a fish. So he's because he's a fish out of water,
mhm,
quite literally.
yeah,
Like
but,
yeah, so it's very generic. Like jokes are basically just here's a character trait. We're gonna make every joke around this one
mhm.
specific trait.
And the forced romance was a bit mad as well between
Oh yeah, suddenly
Chicken Little
yeah,
and
like
Abby.
after the reconciliation scene with Chicken Little and his dad, he then just randomly goes up and kisses the ugly duckling, and now they're suddenly an item with no prior build up that that was going to be a thing. And
The
the
only thing
pig
she
gets
just
the
said that
fucking mind scrambled fox girl,
yeah
who again is still who again his brain's still fucking fried, but we're supposed to act like that's okay.
yeah pretty mad. And to be
Yeah,
honest, with Chicken and Abby's relationship, I think she just says to him once that she finds Chicken Little cute, but that's it really.
yeah.
There's not really any
He
build up.
says
So
she
that was odd.
finds him cute once, and he says he finds her. He always found her strangely attractive when he kisses her.
Yeah.
That's
So
about it.
very weird. Not much build up there.
Yep.
The whole film's a bit odd and daft, to be honest. Everything about it,
Yeah.
and then they make a film at the end. And he's like, "These people at Hollywood, yeah, these people at Disney don't know how to write a bloody
Yeah.
film for their first
It's like,
animated
come
3D
on, you know,
on their
the
own."
Buck's like, yeah, I think J-Lo's like, I hope they keep it like accurate to the source material. And Buck's like, so these people are from Hollywood. There's one thing they love. It's a true story. And then it
Yeah.
cuts to the movie, and it's nothing like what actually happened
Hmm.
at
But
all.
that's the only okay scene. I just found Adam West
Oh
being a
yeah,
little bit
it's
daft,
definitely the only okay. It's also the only good scene in the fucking movie.
yeah. And then we get the credits, which were just odd. And yeah, this film's naff. No good
Yeah.
comedy, nothing really that funny. Not a good story. Pop culture references pushed to the limit.
Yeah.
First film without Disney's first 3D animated film without Pixar, and it shows. I mean,
Yep.
I haven't really watched many 3D Disney films apart from this, Meet the Robinsons, Wreck It Ralph, and Bolt, I
We
think.
gotta talk about Wreck-It Ralph one of these days as well. That one is
Um,
another good one.
yeah, I'll probably put that one on the back burner. Probably after this, it would be really cool to do, I don't know, Ratatouille and the Incredibles, man. I know we
Ratatouille and
talked
Incredibles
about,
would be phenomenal to follow this one up. We need a fucking palate cleanser from Buck the Cook.
yeah. And then after that, maybe we could do Wreck It Ralph and, I don't know, Mulan. But, oh, man, I really want to revisit Aladdin because I've been watching a lot of Robin Williams as well. Maybe Mulan and Aladdin, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do Mulan and Aladdin together, and then we can do Wreck-It Ralph another day for something else.
Yeah.
There's no hurry.
Yeah, man. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying going back to watch Disney films every 2 or 3 weeks and then doing a podcast on them. It's
Yeah.
a good nostalgia rush.
It is, yeah. There's a lot of good animated movies to talk about.
Honestly, from what I remember about Mulan, though, I think that might be the best Disney film, the original one.
The original animated Mulan is legit one of their best, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's that, The Lion King, Atlantis, Aladdin. I've watched a lot of other Disney films, but I'm not really. I've heard Beauty and the Beast is meant to be amazing, but I've never watched it ever.
Yeah, The Beast is a classic.
Is it better than like the Lion King and Aladdin, or would you say?
Debatable if it's better than Lion King or Aladdin, but it's definitely around the era of Disney where the princesses actually started getting their own personality
Yeah,
and weren't like, because as much as I love some of like the Disney classics, the princesses in the old movies are very lacking in some areas of personality,
yeah.
or at least they're not as interesting as ones later on. Still love
Hmm.
those movies. So like I still love like the old like Cinderella and Snow White and all that.
I
But
never really
the
watched them.
princesses are definitely the least interesting character parts of those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's just how it goes though.
I'll quickly just
But yeah,
say,
Beauty and the Beast is definitely where the princesses actually start to get their own character and personality.
yeah.
So Belle is definitely one of the better ones in that aspect, for sure.
Hmm.
And also, Beauty
I've,
and the Beast gives us fucking Gaston, who's
I've heard he's quite a funny
prime.
villain.
He's a prime meme villain.
Like a guy like Gaston.
Yeah.
I've
What's
seen
good
that in the
about
trailer.
Gaston as a villain is that he's the type of character that in any other setting he would have been the hero.
Really?
Yeah, he's the type of character, like the way he's built up with the town and everything. In any other setting or scene, he would have been the fucking hero riding it on a horse at the end of the movie to save the princess. In any other setting than what the movie is portraying.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, you'll see what I mean when you watch it. As it from whenever we decide to review the really old stuff,
Hmm.
you'll see what I mean with Gaston.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah, I'll quickly just go over Chicken Little overall. Not funny, bad characters. Book drags it down even more.
yeah.
Story's very just not that interesting. There's too much pop culture and ripping stuff off. Like I don't mind like parodies or paying homage to certain things
Oh yeah,
because
in the intro there was a fucking Indiana Jones boulder scene joke, wasn't there?
yeah, they
Where a
don't
bunch
really
of characters
establish
are
stuff.
watching that scene in a theater, and then a literal ball falls through the theater.
Yeah, they don't really establish stuff in this universe. It's like they're watching a film of a real life human in an animated world. Like, how does that work? Like, what? I
Yeah,
don't.
it relies too much on references and just generally really bad humor. Dialogue
Yeah.
is not great. Characters are awful. No one learns or grows from anything.
Everyone's just the
And
same from start to finish.
yeah,
One of the
yeah,
lowest ratings I've ever given in a review on either the ALP podcast and I think this podcast as well. One of the probably the lowest rating on this podcast for a film. I am giving this a 3 out of 10. It's just so boring and
I'm
difficult to
gonna
watch.
say 3 as well.
Because
I was tempted to say 2 just because of Buck the Clock dragging it down an extra
yeah,
point. Because I think we've made it very clear in this review that we both disdain that character.
yeah. If it wasn't for Book, I'd give it a 4 or 4.5. Really.
Yeah, it would have at
Uh,
least gone up by a 0.5 or a whole point, but
mhm,
his inclusion in the movie, he's so awful.
yeah. It's just more. The problem is as well. I don't mind like characters having to overcome stuff and nasty characters, but there just has to be something like
Well, he has to have
satisfying,
actually
interest.
overcome something.
Yeah,
As we established, he clearly hasn't changed by the end of the
mm.
movie.
It just leaves you more annoyed and pissed off by the end of the film rather than interested or
Yeah,
thinking, "Oh, this
exactly.
he redeemed himself." It's like a good show that does redeem villains well. Like look at Zuko; he's a horrible bloke at the end of season 2, throwing his uncle under the bus. Obviously, he's still one of the best characters, but he's
Well,
very
with
nasty.
Zuko, it's a bit of confliction of him,
Yeah.
like of him not being sure which path to take.
Mm-hmm.
The path to what he thinks he wants, which is his father's like admiration and acceptance,
Yeah.
or seeking out his own life. And at
Mm-hmm.
the end, he just makes the wrong choice. But
Yeah.
that leads to his redemption in season 3 of Avatar, which is one of the best villain to ally redemption stories in there.
Yeah. Ever. I'd
There's
say.
a lot of shows that will try and like redeem a villain or like switch a villain to an ally, and very few of them get the arc right because they seem to
Mhm.
forget that an arc has to occur for that. They just try and so they'll rush through the arc or just have it occur out of nowhere. Whereas
Yeah.
with Zuko, it was built up for like over half the season was just showing his confliction of not knowing what to do and like getting mad at himself and everything.
Yeah. It's time for you to look inward and begin asking yourself the big questions. Who are you?
Yeah. Also, you got fucking Iroh's like sage wisdom, which
Yeah.
is great.
Is it your destiny, or is it a destiny someone has tried to force on you?
Yeah.
Stop it, Zuko. I'm begging you, Prince Zuko.
Uncle Iroh is great as a character because he kind of embodies a saying, and that is like, no one understands the level of violence it took to become as gentle as he is.
Yeah.
Because again, he was a fucking war general in the Fire Nation. Like
Mhm.
he had conquered several areas. He led the siege against. He was leading the siege against Ba Sing Se and everything.
Yeah, man.
And is literally like seen as a legend of the Fire Nation, even having the nickname the Dragon.
Yeah.
So like it tells you how skilled of a fighter he was, and yet we see him in the show, and he's like a sage old man full of wisdom who rarely chooses violence unless he has to.
Yeah, he's a very sound bloke.
Yeah, and it's just that it's because it embodies that saying of like it takes a lot of violence and that to become as gentle as he was.
For sure. And I can't believe that a discussion about Chicken Little led into probably the best show ever being discussed. But it's about a villain turned good. I know Book isn't the villain, but it's about someone who did bad things turning good, done. Probably the best ever compared to this, which is
Yeah,
a bloke who's a complete tit being
Yep.
turned somewhat good in an unbelievable
Zuko is the
stupid
best
way.
villain redemption story in animation, and I would say Wreck-It Ralph has one of the best twist villain reveals in animation. But we'll get to that when we get to Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah. I watched it in cinema. I can't really remember how the Bubblegum King or whatever his name was turned bad. But don't spoil it. It'll be good to.
I won't spoil it until you
Yeah.
actually watch the movie.
Yeah, I would like to see how he turns bad again. To be honest, the ending was quite emotional when he's when you think he's
Yeah.
gonna die. You know, that was pretty good.
We'll save that for the Wreck-It Ralph review, which will be a
Yeah.
very fun one to do.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if I like it better or not as much. I mean, I remember enjoying it a fair bit. Like I thought it was well above average.
Yeah.
But maybe I enjoy it even more. I don't know.
Yeah. All I will say without spoiling the twist is it's one of those you don't see it, but with the hindsight of what the twist is, you realize on a second watch there are hints hidden everywhere, just really subtly that unless you knew the twist was coming, you wouldn't spot them. But the
Okay.
moment you know what the twist is and have seen it, you immediately can pick out all the various hints.
Yeah.
And that's how you should do a twist.
Mhm.
You don't make it obvious, but you also don't make it so subtle that no one could see it.
Yeah.
You give it enough that like on a second watch people can realize the hints were there.
Mhm.
Yep. An example of a bad one is fucking Hans from Frozen.
I've never watched Frozen. I'm not really. I know it's one of the most successful films out of
Do
Disney's
you mind a slight
jazz.
spoiler on that?
Yeah, you can spoil the whole thing. I'm really not interested.
So the villains, the twist villain at the end, Hans, literally comes out of nowhere.
Oh.
As in, like, he Hans is there from the beginning of the movie, but he has no indication or hints that he's a villain at all. And then at the end of the movie, just randomly suddenly face turns and becomes a bad guy, with
That's
no
pretty
hints that he was bad all along or anything.
Mhm.
Like there is literally no evidence or hints that he's about to be the villain. He just becomes the villain.
a bit silly. So I'm probably not going to watch Frozen because it doesn't look like my type of film at all.
That's fair.
But is it? Would you say is actually any good, or is it
I would say
quite boring?
Frozen is pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it just was. I think it got overhyped a lot because obviously it blew up very big very quickly.
Yeah. True.
I would say it's good. It just got overhyped, so a lot of people got sick of it quickly.
Mhm.
And
I guess
like
it's
I
a bit
said,
like
the ending kind of messes it up because of Hans.
It's a bit like the Barbie film. Everyone raved about that, but a lot of people said it was crap. I just can't be bothered to watch it. But then my mate, George, GC, he said it was actually pretty good. He thought it was going to be dog shit, but it ended up being an all right film.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I'm probably not going to watch the Barbie film or the bloody or the Frozen.
Yeah.
But they're just not really up my street, to be honest. Nothing wrong if geezers want to watch those films. It's just that it's not up my street at all.
Yeah.
But I did actually watch Oppenheimer because there was the Barbenheimer memes, and Oppenheimer was very bloody overrated. I was going into it thinking it'll be constant, interesting, good dialogue, and I just thought it was a good standard film. To be honest with you, I thought it was that's all it was—a good standard film, nothing special at all.
Yeah, that's it. There's takes to have on every movie. It's part of why us doing these reviews is interesting because we have two different people giving a take on a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, at the same time, from that take, we can kind of like we kind of end up agreeing on a lot of the takes, or have a very brief discussion on it.
Yeah, I think the only film we've massively disagreed, not massively, but Atlantis, we give them pretty different ratings, but we agree on most of the good points. I think I gave like a 9 out of 10. You gave a 6.
I think I gave Atlantis an 8.
Oh, was it an 8? Oh, fair enough.
I think I gave Atlantis an 8 or a 7. And I gave
remember.
Treasure Planet an 8 or a 9.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah,
and I gave Treasure
I did
Planet,
give Treasure Planet a
8.5.
6. So far, only I haven't actually given any of the. We've only reviewed like 6 movies so far, but I don't think I've given any of them a 6.
Oh, fair enough.
Lowest I've given us obviously Chicken Little at 3.
Little
And
now,
I think it's been mainly 7s
as of today.
as lowest I've gone.
Yeah, I think it was 7 or 8. I can't remember.
Yeah.
No, I remember what I was shocked about. I thought I was not shocked, but I thought, damn, you've given like
yeah, it was that
Atlantis.
I rated Treasure Planet slightly higher than Atlantis.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and you were
it.
like, well, I grew up with Treasure Planet, so I said, oh, fair enough.
Yeah, I grew up watching Treasure Planet before Atlantis, so I have a bit of nostalgia on that one.
Yeah, it was
Also,
on Disney
I'm a person that values storytelling a lot, and obviously I mesh well with the arc of a Treasure Planet with for John and like Jim.
Yeah, that's a great point, to be honest. Their arc is better than anything that anyone's arc in Atlantis, because Atlantis isn't really about arcs, it's more about like the story and the adventure. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Treasure Planet, you have got a story and an adventure, but it's more about Jimbo and Jim and John Silver's arc.
Yeah, Jim Hawkins and John Silver, yeah, and their arc, like, and also just generally visually, Treasure Planet is very beautiful.
Yeah, it's very
visually,
well animated. Yeah. And his arm, I know I mentioned it in the Treasure Planet review, but his arm, all the movements,
yeah, the animation for his arm is actually impressive as fuck.
Yeah, because it's all 3D, and I don't know, it looks like it's got about 20 million different things going on all at once. His arm,
yeah. It's really like it's such a shame that again Disney sabotaged Treasure Planet. So apparently the director actually had an idea for a full like series. Like he had a plan for like 3 movies. And of course Disney fucking screwed it over.
It is sad that they ruin these things and they can't. I don't know.
It's them trying to find a legal loophole to get out of a contract they signed.
Yeah, I guess some of these execs they just want to be right about everything. I don't know. It's just
they do, yeah. They didn't have faith in the movie, so the guy put it in his contract that if it does well, then he can make sequels. And so they do everything they can to sabotage that so they don't have to like fall through with it. Because obviously the movie would have done well given the cult following it's picked up now. Years later when people have actually gotten around to seeing it.
Yeah.
So it would have done well if Disney had marketed it properly and didn't try and sabotage the thing.
Got in.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess we can... you got anything else you want to say before we wrap up? Or?
Nope, and I need to actually be wrapping up about now as well, yeah.
Fair
so obviously we started later than we expected with this.
Yeah, true. Well, that was Chicken Little. Sorry, that was Meet the Robinsons and Chicken Little. Hope you all enjoyed. Yep. Scott, thank you for joining and giving your takes.
Always.
Yeah. All we got to say for today. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. See you later.
Bye.